Hello, and welcome to the Low Season Traveller Influencer series of podcasts, where each week for 6 weeks, we're speaking to the next generation of travel influencers who inspire us to travel to new and exciting destinations around the world. So you're all most welcome to this episode 4 of our series, and we are delighted today to be joined by Bugo. Bugo is a London and travel blogger who travels the world with her husband, focusing on the romantic notions associated with travel. Like many of us, Bugo has spent a great deal of the recent lockdowns at home in London, but this hasn't stopped her from travelling. In fact, she's travelled considerably throughout the UK, discovering new and exciting destinations closer to her home in London. As with most of our guests in this series, Bugo works a 9-to-5 in the city and creates her content out of a genuine and authentic passion for travel. The photographs and videos on her feeds are authentic and natural, and she always has a huge smile which encapsulates the joy she is feeling at that moment. We caught up with Bugo to find out what makes her tick, destinations she's loved the most, and crucially, where she would go if we gave her 50 grand tomorrow. So join us as we discover the pure joy of life with Bugo. Enjoy. So, Bugo, you are most welcome to the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. The sun is shining today, so it's always a good day when the sun is shining in the UK.
It is. It's a rare day, but it's a good day, and we'll celebrate that. Yeah. And that kind of leads on to my next question, which is, where are you, and how's life going right now?
So I'm in the UK. Life is good. Still, basically doing everything from home because I know we're allowed to go out now. You're not going to get arrested if you're walking the streets, but I'm still quite picky. I'd rather order things to the house and stuff like that. If I don't have to go out, I'm not gonna just go out. So yeah, in the UK, just living and loving life, basically.
Living and loving life. Now you're down south. You're down in London, so you get the best weather down there. I'm up in the north. We don't get the good weather.
Yeah, so I'm just outside London. I've just literally moved outside London, so I'm towards Essex, or is it Hertfordshire? Yeah. Yep. So I'm just somewhere around there, basically. So we do get the best weather, to be fair.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
Definitely. I used to live down in just years ago. I moved down to Surrey, and it was my first time living down in the south of the UK. And once I was down there during the summer months, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a rare, wonderful summer. And everyone down there was saying, this is what it's like every summer. I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing out on in the north all this year.
Yeah.
So look, thanks a million for joining us. I think, look, right at the outset, tell us and our listeners, first of all, who is Bugo and what do you do?
So Bugo is Bugo. Okay, that's silly. So I'm a travel blogger, basically. I also have what people say is a 9-to-5. It's really never a 9-to-5, but I have a corporate city job.
Yep.
And I'm also a travel blogger. I basically travel and write about it. I basically tell people what I'm doing, where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's sort of like your diary, basically your travel diary. You're just allowing everyone read your travel diary. Tips. I basically focus on luxury travel, so I'm a bit more on the high-end side of travel.
Yeah.
And I'm very big on romanticizing travel. So I'm not very, there's travel bloggers that basically count countries. So they probably will go to a different country every time. That's not my focus. My focus is basically, as long as you're moving, you're traveling, you could be going to the next city, and that's still travel. It's just basically me selling that to people, selling my idea of travel to people. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's the journey, isn't it? A lot of travel is the journey. We had a podcast which we released last week with a wonderful lady called Nick Balmain, and she's got her own company which is called Nanda Journeys, and she was just saying it's all about the journey, Jed. It's not necessarily just about the destination, but it's like you were saying, it's how you get there. which I think is wonderful. And of course, as well as being a travel blogger, you have incredible, you've got some great photography, so on your Instagram feed, you have wonderful photography. And what I absolutely love, what I love about the photography that you have on your feed is what comes across in one word is joy. Every photo that I see, you just have this, you have this incredible smile that just encapsulates for me joy, whether it's, on your own with your husband. You look like in that moment, you just look like the epitome of joy. And it's quite infectious when you look through all the photos on your feed. It's like I can't help but not smile when I'm looking at the photographs, if you know what I mean.
I feel like it's one of them things where and I think that's probably why I started my blog, if I'm honest. I had like my little account where I would put all this information about travel, and all my friends were like, you need to open this account because you basically look like you enjoy what you're doing. You're not traveling because you're trying to make money, or you're trying to have these deals with these hotel brands or whatever. You genuinely love to travel, and we can see that from your photos. And I think that's why from the beginning of my accounts being a blogger, an open creator account, I've always had people reach out to me to work with them in some sort of capacity, because I think my page is just very natural. It's basically what you see is what you get. Basically, some people ask my friends, is she really this smiley in real life? Is she really always happy? I don't think I'm always happy. I'm not always happy, but travel makes me happy.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the road, if I'm with my husband, if we're going somewhere, these things make me happy. So that will always translate, in a photo. So I think that's just what people see, and they're like, is she really this happy all the time, or is she just doing it for the gram?
No, I love it though. I think it's that authenticity again, and this has come up sort of again and again with some of the other podcasts we've done recently, where there are some influencers where that they are doing it because it's a job, it's revenue, whatever else, and they love it as well, of course. But what I think is really I think it gets really special when it's somebody who's working, as you say, the 9 to 5, and this is it's not just a hobby, it's their passion, it's their absolute passion. And there's an authenticity that sort of comes with that, that's just super refreshing, really. And that authenticity, I think, translates then to the viewer, because it's it's kind of clear that this person is doing it because they truly believe it. If they've stayed in this place and they're raving about it, that's because they've had a fabulous experience and they want to share that experience.
That's what it is for me, and that's the reason I feel like everywhere I've stayed, because I probably only started to work with brands actually last year, in the middle of the pandemic. And before then, I would go to these hotels and tell people, you should go and stay here. And people would message me like, are you getting paid for? I'm like, no, I'm not getting paid. I just stayed somewhere nice. And I'm like, you guys go and stay there. People would tag me to say, we stayed here. And they would tag the brand, the hotel, to say, she made us come here, and things like that. So absolutely. It's never really been like a job. It's always been something I've just really, really loved to do. And I'm glad it's sort of, people see my page and think that way. They don't see it as a job on my page. It's sort of like, she loves to travel. If she's telling us to go here, she definitely loves, this place. And I'm very honest. Like, if I go somewhere and I just didn't enjoy it, I'll actually say, look, the food was great. However, the service was blah, 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 blah. Like, I'll be honest, And
I love that. That kind of leads on then to the next question, and it's one that we've asked everybody on this series, and it was really interesting. And it's how do you describe this side of your life? How do you describe what you do? And I ask that because originally, and I still don't know what we're going to call this series because we haven't released it yet. We were going to call it the Influencer Series, and there was a few who we were speaking to who were saying, I don't like to think of myself as an influencer. I see that as a negative. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I hadn't realized. So yeah, how do you describe yourself for this part of your life?
I mean, I think first of all, I'm a travel blogger because I've got a blog. I've got a travel blog. I've got a page a website where you basically go and get all your travel tips and your, travel things. But I kind of understand why people don't like the word influencer. It's sort of being um, shamed, especially in the media, when it comes to journalism versus influencer culture and stuff like that. But I'll be honest, I don't really mind being called an influencer. No matter what you want to believe, as a content creator, as long as you're putting up pictures on Instagram and telling people to buy this dress or visit this place, you're trying to influence people. So you are an influencer. It's just very sad that, the name brings up very negative ideas, especially when used in, mainstream media, for example.
Yeah.
When they show influencers, I remember in December when we had the lockdown and they had this thing about the influencers in Dubai. And obviously that's what they're showing. They're showing the influencers in Dubai when we're in lockdown in London and stuff like that. But they're not showing the influencers who are promoting, make sure you're at home, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you do this, responsible travel, influencers that just didn't. I had friends that still won't go and won't leave the country because they feel like it's not a responsible way of traveling right now. So you're not going to see that on TV. And, and that's their influencing bit. They're influencing their followers to say, travel the UK, don't leave the country now, it's still travel. But people are not going to see that. So I understand when influencers say they don't want to be called influencers, but that's what you are. It's just that's what it is. If you're on any social media and you're telling people, you're putting out content for people to watch, in the hopes that they will follow you or buy a product or stay in a hotel or travel to a specific country or just anything. If you're trying to influence, you're an influencer.
Yeah.
I always say I'm a travel blogger only because I have a blog, but I don't mind being called an influencer. I know what I am. So the media will not define who I am as a person. It's what it is, just what it is, it's sad that a lot of influencers don't want to be called influencers because I get it. But I think it's one of those things you embrace. It is what I am. This is how I do my thing. If you're interested in knowing how I influence, then I can speak to you about it. But that's what I am. So
I think for me, it's people who do, whether by design or accidentally, whether they influence somebody else. And for me, when I look at your feed, I am influenced to visit Cappadocia and to stay in certain places because honestly it looks fabulous and I haven't been exposed to that before. I have never seen it before. There was a lovely one, I'm just going to get it up now while we're on. It was in Scotland. Was it in Glencoe?
That was an epic trip.
Oh my
Scottish
God.
Highlands, wasn't it?
I've got to say this to our listeners out there. If you go on Bugo's Instagram feed, which is Life with Bugo, and you look at the Glencoe Scottish Highlands photos there, there's that just looks out of this world, and it's not even that far away from where I am.
That place is epic. I've been to so many countries, like I've been far away, but I will tell you there is nowhere in the world like the Scottish Highlands. Nowhere in the world. It's the most fantastic, beautiful.
Wow. I can see it in your face.
I would go back in a heartbeat and stay there, like just basically road trip for a month. I would do that. Yeah.
I see. It's another one that's been on my bucket list for some time. Is really exploring around the Highlands of Scotland. I still haven't done it yet. And but when I was looking at those photographs, they just blew me away. And I think it's always kind of interesting. If you said that was, I don't know, somewhere in New Zealand or Australia or South Africa, everyone will be like, oh my gosh, I've got to go. And it's like, well, no, it's even more convenient than that.
It's not even that far. It's literally, I don't even know how far it is by. I think the flight was like less than an hour, and we're in Edinburgh, and we just rented a car and went straight to the Highlands. And I don't know, I feel like we stayed for about 5 days, I think. And my husband and I we're going to come back because I'm a massive Outlander fan. I don't know if you watch Outlander, the series.
No, I don't.
it was done in Scotland. And I'm like a massive TV person. So I watch something, I'm like, I'm going there. And that was what Scottish Highlands was for me. So I was like, I was tracing everywhere. I was like, oh my God, they were here. It was such a beautiful
You're
trip.
proper Outlander geek then, are you?
Oh, I am. I'm so like, I literally made my husband drive me everywhere. Like the castle, nah. I'm not even going to start that now because that would be a whole new podcast.
That's brilliant. But, it fascinates me. So are you familiar with the Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So Game of Thrones.
Watch it,
well, I've never watched it. It's you and me. We're the only two, by the way, that haven't seen
it. I
know. In the whole of the UK. But everyone's telling me, you've got to see the Game of Thrones. But what's really interesting to me is that must be filmed, I swear, everywhere. Because in Iceland, they have Game of Thrones tours. Yeah. In Northern Ireland, they have Game of Thrones tours. They've got them everywhere. Dubrovnik, Game of Thrones. Yeah. And I'm thinking, but again, people are influenced by that. And that kind of led me on then to my next question, which is, who or what influences your decision to travel to different places? Outlander, obviously.
This is the best question, but I'm going to keep it very short. TV series. Like, I'm such a romantic, so I watch lots of like romantic shows. Outlander is like one of my favorite, like all-time faves. Sex and the City, Friends. I mean, Sex and the City and Friends, that's the reason why I went to New York. Like, I literally spent 2 weeks in New York going around. So I'm a massive TV person. I mean, the whole Bridgerton phase, that's happened recently. I went back to Bath just to trace, places there. I spent 1 day, so I'm going to go back and do a proper Bridgerton weekend. Like, so I'm very big on, like, I see somewhere on TV and you know how like movies sort of romanticize places for you and you just sort of fall in love with the characters and you fall in love with the scenery and stuff like that. I basically want to see that in real life and I want to like see it with my husband, for example, and just feel that feel. I'll be honest, I actually get influenced by Instagram a lot. I don't follow too many people. I sort of follow people that I'm such a massive fan of their work, like UK travelers, people who do like world travel and stuff like that. And I do get influenced by them. There's a lady I follow and she travels around the UK and I'm just always saving her photos. I'm like, how did you get there? What did you do here? So I get influenced by Instagram a lot. So it's Instagram and TV for me, I would say. Those are like the two places I get influenced the most. And I'll be honest, like I go to the same places over and I don't mind. Like Paris is like one of our favorite places ever. I know people have this love-hate relationship with Paris, but it's like our happy place. Really? And we watched Emily in Paris a few months ago and I was like, wait, we've been to Paris so many times. How come I've not seen all these places? I said to my husband, we're going to go back because we need to go to these places. So he's like, not Paris again. I'm like, yes, we're going back to Paris. We need to go to all these places.
It's another one of those cities, isn't it, though? This, I suppose like London, you could stay there for 5 months and you'd still wouldn't see everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to fit it in.
So many times. Winter, summer, every time, but it just feels like every time we go we always stay in a different arrondissement, so it's sort of different, but Paris is like that
Paris is my big travel embarrassment. So I'm pretty well traveled, but I've never been to Paris, which is just insane. And I've
what?
Do you know? I know. Yeah, that's the.
How are you in England and you haven't been to Paris?
It's genuinely there's no excuse. I've been on the outskirts, and I've been obviously through the airports. I've been sort of via the airports a few times, but it sounds ridiculous, but I've never had the reason to go. There hasn't been an event on or a meeting, and I've never done it. And I've never done it purely for leisure. And I'm saying to my wife, I was like, we need to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have to challenge you to do it before the year runs out.
Oh my gosh!
I'm
feeling the pressure
to go. So you haven't been to Disney? You haven't even been to Disney in Paris?
No way. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? And it's like you said, it's just so near as well. Yeah. But I will take that challenge. Yeah, you have to. You have to come back because I feel like every British person has been to Paris either really, really loves it or really, really hates it. So you have to go and come back and be like, I really hated it. I really loved it. You have to pick a side, basically. I feel like I would love it. but
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know and don't know until we get there. When you're saying you're influenced by TV shows,
Mm.
do you ever have it when you travel to somewhere because of you've seen the TV show or the TV series? Does it always meet your expectations, or does it ever fall short, or does it exceed your expectations?
Oh, most times I feel that it always meets or exceeds. Again, I always say that. I mean, I haven't been to Bali, which is one of the places people always say it's overrated. But I'm one of them people that I make up things in my head a lot. So I sort of live in this weird, dreamy land that even if somewhere, I would find the most beautiful thing in the most basic thing. So I would go somewhere and everyone would say, oh, there was nothing to it. And I'd still feel, the goosebumps,
Yeah.
I'd still feel it. So I don't know if anywhere has not really lived up to my expectations yet. I don't think there's anywhere yet because every time I go there, I'll have a picture of the scene, for example, and I'll like, oh my god. So
Yeah.
I've never not felt like wowed. I've never not felt that way, and I also think because I don't travel, I wouldn't go to somewhere when it's very busy, for example. So that's one reason I haven't been to Dubrovnik because everyone says, I
Yeah.
haven't watched Game of Thrones and I really want to watch Game of Thrones so I can go there and have that feel that everyone feels. But then because it's so busy, I'm like, how am I going to do this whole Game of Thrones, watch it and then go to Dubrovnik? So there's a few things I sort of consider whenever I'm going somewhere. If I know it's a very busy place, I'll just go really early so I can still have that, that vibe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I've never really felt underwhelmed by somewhere that I've seen on TV. I don't think I have. I can't remember.
Fair play.
Can't remember.
That's a good sign. What about I often speak to other travelers about what we call our travel surprises, and these are destinations or places that where our expectations weren't especially high, either through ignorance or through we just weren't really thinking it was going to be that good, and then when we got there, it was like, wow. People need to know about this place. Have what's been your greatest travel surprise? Somewhere where your expectations weren't super high, but it blew you away.
The first place that comes to mind is Cappadocia for me.
Yeah.
Everyone goes online, everyone looks at the photo of the balloons, the balloons in the backdrop. And I'll be honest, I thought, I don't know whether I think in my head, I just thought it was maybe a photo, like some sort of Photoshop. I don't know what I thought, to be honest. So when we thought it was our anniversary a few years ago, and we thought, you know what, let's actually go to Turkey. We're going to go to Istanbul, actually. But then it was sort of peak summer. Well, not peak summer. It's like end of July, end of June, sorry. And my husband was like, oh, it's going to be so hot. Let's go somewhere in Turkey, but not too busy. And I thought, okay, let's go Cappadocia. I had a friend from when I was in uni. She was actually from Cappadocia. So,
oh, wow.
It's weird, because when you hear this kind of place, you don't think you ever meet anyone from there. Yeah, she was in my uni and she was from there. And she always talked about how beautiful it was. So I thought, you know what, let's actually go there. Obviously, I'd seen all the photos, I'd seen all the staged, things. So I'm not going to lie, I definitely knew what it looked like. But I don't think I expected it to look the way, I don't know why. I just didn't expect it to look that way in real life. Oh my God, that place blew my mind. Like, we got there quite late in the afternoon. So we spent the first day not doing anything. We didn't see anything. And then the concierge said to us, make sure you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go up to the terrace. I was like, what does that even mean? He's like, make sure you're dressed, because he knew we want to take some photos. And then we woke up very early. I dragged my husband, who was like, still, I'm like, no, we have to go. They said something epic is happening. And oh my God, the most magical thing in the world. Like, it just reminded me of what's the name? Aladdin. Like the Aladdin scene where he takes on the ride. Oh my, it's just beautiful. It's epic. And it's not even just about that. It's how friendly the Turkish are. It was the most beautiful experience there. I feel like sometimes as Black people as well, traveling, there's that thing of, am I going to feel safe here? Am I going to feel, and Cappadocia is quite it's not as, as I would say big as, Istanbul, for example, where they see lots of different people. In Cappadocia, I don't think I saw any other Black person there. It was just such a lovely experience. We didn't feel weird or anything. You know, we had a taxi driver like pick us up, and when we said to him, we need to get our cash because we don't have any money. Oh, don't worry, and he dropped us off. Like we didn't have to pay. You know, you go somewhere and someone will give you a free pencil or free. It was just such a bizarre, like, I was like, am I in a dream? It's the most beautiful place ever. And then the rock formations, you'd see, you know, things you'd see, you know, in pictures. Yeah, it's actually real. You know, if there's anything, the pictures don't even do, like the sunsets, for example. I don't think I've seen any sunsets as stunning as we saw in Cappadocia, for example. So yeah, that was one that really, really stunned me. Like,
I must say that the photos on your feed of that time, I mean, it just looks breathtakingly beautiful. And when I was looking at them, I was thinking, God, that looks like the kind of place, if you were there in reality, it'd be kind of goosebumps and oh my God, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. With regards to the balloons, is that all year round, or is that just a certain time of the year that happens?
All year round. So the only problem is the balloons, so there's no guarantee it's going to fly. So it doesn't matter if it's snowing or it's raining or the sun is shining. What guarantees the balloons flying is it the speed of the winds or the direction of the wind?
Right.
So yeah, so it doesn't matter what season it is. It just depends on how the direction of the wind, I think, is going that day.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So you can actually pay for your balloon ride and get there that morning, and it gets cancelled. So there's no guarantee that when you pay for a balloon ride, when you go, it will actually take off. They have to check they keep checking every hour or something like that, and then at like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, they'll say, "Oh, sorry, it's cancelled for the day." So you can actually go to Cappadocia for a week and not, you know, see any balloon. Very possible.
That'd be so unlucky. So look, it's like it's like when you go to see the Northern Lights. You know, you go to Northern Norway or Northern Iceland, and you know you have to be lucky as well.
Yeah,
you know, and that's just those are the breaks. But that looks just out of this world. And when you talk about the Turkish people, it just made me smile, because I've been to Turkey many times on business and on leisure, and you try not to have favorites anywhere you go around the world. As to, you know, people always say, you know, who are the friendliest nation, and there's a part of me that always wants to say the Irish, because, you know, I'm of Irish heritage. But I've got to say the Turkish, when it comes to real, genuine warmth and hospitality, I think it would be hard to beat the Turks. They are incredibly generous, kind, warm people. And the irony is, whenever I've spoken to people in Turkey about that, they've always said, actually, if you go to inland Turkey, it's even more so. They're even more welcoming. They'll have you in their homes for a meal with a family, and are just incredible. Love the Turkish people, I must say. While we're on the international travel, I mean, again, you're incredibly well traveled. But what really stood out for me, because again, it's somewhere that I've never been, and maybe our listeners haven't been either. But you were also in Jersey. Tell us a little bit about Jersey for anybody that doesn't know anything greatly about Jersey. Because my perception, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to age myself at the same time. There used to be a TV show called Bergerac. Are you familiar with this? You're so young. You're so young. You wouldn't even. Now I feel truly old. Okay, it was back in the 80s. Okay, so you know.
Okay, that's my decade. That's the decade. I'm sorry.
But anyway, I always assumed that Jersey was very much a place where wealthy Brits go to retire. So basically, it's full of old people, and really not much else, not much fun to be had or anything else. It's probably sunny. And that was my perception. And I know that's awful. If there's anyone from Jersey Tourism listening, they're going to hang me out to dry for that.
They're probably going to message you now. What?
What the hell? So, supporting Turkey, tell us what was Jersey. Tell us what Jersey was like.
So Jersey was a trip I sort of took when I was quite low on, it was a low period in my life. I had lost my mom a few months before, and I was just dealing with a lot of like mental health issues, and my therapy wasn't working and stuff like that. And it was a very random trip. It was just, I just said to my husband, I just want to go away. I want to travel for a long weekend. And it's weird because we go everywhere together. And that was the only trip I basically went solo. I literally booked a flight. He dropped me off, and I flew to Jersey. And just before I go into how amazing Jersey is, I basically came back from that trip straight into lockdown. So that's when the first lockdown happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was my last trip. So yeah, Jersey was obviously that was deep in winter because I think that was March.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, so it was quite cold, but it was lovely. It was very lovely. It's definitely not an old people place. I feel like it's one of them places that kind of gets overlooked because everyone would rather go to Spain, for example, or rather go to Spain. I would say Spain is sort of what people will pick over Jersey, for example. But it's such a great place to holiday. And I feel like if you've got kids, for example, Jersey is such a lush place to hang out. It's they've got the beaches, they've got proper beach huts, for example. They've got your fish and chips. So it's very UK-ish, but with a holiday vibe attached to it.
Yeah.
And it's reasonably priced. There's flights, from every London or UK airports. And it's just easy. It's such an easy trip. I mean, every person there will tell you we're not part of the UK. They sort of don't want to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my taxi driver, he made it very clear they're not a part of the UK, but they are a UK. I think they're like a UK territory.
Right.
I need to Google that again. So they're not technically part of the UK, like Scotland or England and stuff like that. But they are a UK, I want to say territory. I need to check that, double check that. So yeah, they use, they use the same pounds and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a weird one because like what you said is true. You have lots of rich Brits that go there, the build houses. So my taxi driver took me on, around a specific area where a lot of Brits have sort of amassed a community of massive, when I mean massive houses, I mean the sort of massive houses you find in, I would say mostly Africa or like the Caribbean, for example, like big houses with the palm trees and stuff like that. So you have like that side of things. But you also have they call themselves the Jersey man and the Jersey woman. So they're called Jersey people. So if you're from Jersey, you're a Jersey person. Yeah. So you have the people from Jersey who are very proud of their culture. They will take you around the docks and stuff like that and show you all the Normandy and war kind of influence and stuff like that. And the beaches are beautiful. Like they remind me of Cornwall beaches, the blue, that bluish green, So they've got the most beautiful beaches. It's very big on surfing as well. So if you're someone who loves to surf, Jersey is like a place for you. There's lots of like low and high tide places where you can just go and surf. It's such a I said to my husband, it gives me LA vibes. That LA, it gives me that sort of vibe. So I can imagine in the summer it would have that LA vibe as well. I definitely made like I said to everyone, you need to go Jersey, you need to go here, you need to go there. Yeah.
I tell you what, you've actually you've opened my eyes to it because like you said, when you sort of say that kind of LA vibe and the surfing, to be honest, absolutely appeals as well. Right, that's another one on my list. Thank you for that. the ever growing list. Look, during the lockdown, obviously, so Jersey was your kind of last trip pre-lockdown, and then lockdown happened. But you didn't stop traveling, did you?
Oh, I did for a long time. I did. I think what happened during lockdown that sort of made my page grow. I lived literally central London, so I lived near the city. I lived in like Tower Hamlets area, which is sort of near Tower Bridge. So all the walks, they were allowed when every time Boris came up with an idea of how many minutes of walk we were allowed to. What I used to do a lot was I would like dress up. So instead of just going in my jammies, for example, I'd literally dress up and say to my husband, I'm going to take photos on this walk, So that's what I did. I sort of explored London a lot during that period. And every time lockdown would ease a little, I'd just go somewhere new and explore that area. I remember I went to Notting Hill for a day. I think it was the first, big going out. We went after lockdown was lifted. We just took a drive there. And obviously people were still skeptical about going out. So my thing was basically trying to explain to everyone, you don't have to go far. Literally come out, pick an area, drive your car there, park your car somewhere, pick an area and just explore. So I did that with Notting Hill. I did that with Hampstead. Where else did I go? I think around the Tower Bridge area. I did around the Tower Bridge area as well. Just a few Chelsea, like Belgravia, just a few areas, sort of make people come, like you can start to come out little by little. And I'll show people how empty it is because obviously we had no tourists.
Yeah,
so places like Buckingham Palace, for example, where, you would be heaving with tourists. But we got there on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Nobody was there. Like it was literally empty.
Low season.
I took some photos. Yeah, I took some photos there. And my followers were like, oh my God, like how is, I'm like, there's nobody there. You can just go, if you don't feel comfortable, ride a bike. If you don't feel like you want to, speak to anyone on the road, just grab one of the Santander cycles, ride it there. Or you can even drive your car, park somewhere, and then just walk around there. So I didn't really travel that much until I think my first trip was, I want to say end of August. Yeah. Which is when the lockdown thing was lifted and hotels opened. Because I didn't do any trip until hotels actually opened. And then with the money, because we were going to have this massive epic anniversary trip around Croatia, basically like Eastern Europe. We had like a few countries to visit for 2 weeks around Eastern Europe. So when British Airways gave us the money back, we just pumped everything into like UK, like fancy hotels and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I think that was when I started to sort of explore the UK more. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. I was like, okay, this is a different kind of travel for me. And I just gradually started to enjoy it and just figure out where next, basically. Yeah.
You went to some cool places in the UK. I was just again, just sort of having a look through your feed. And yeah, you kind of got around Surrey Hills, Rye, Hastings, obviously the Scottish Highlands. So when were you in the Scottish Highlands?
That would have been in July, I want to say. Yeah, it was in July. So sometimes I actually will go somewhere and just not post about it. So depending on like workload up, and I most likely won't post when I'm there. So I'll literally just take a lot of photos and sort of stay in the moment. And because I travel with my husband, and most of our trips are sort of like celebrating something or just us being away together, I try not to post, because when I post on my Instagram, I sort of take out time to engage, like I'm replying comments, I'm replying messages. If I put up any stories, people are going to message and say, oh, where is this? How is this? Da, da, da. So I just I try to be very scarce when I'm on holiday. So if I'm off Instagram, I'm definitely somewhere, basically. I'll just maybe post one photo, just to say I'm here. And then I'll just wait till I get back and sort of start to post. Because I tend to put a lot of information in my captions as well. So
you do.
I try not to post when I'm on the go, basically.
I absolutely love this place that you stayed in the Surrey Hills. It's like a sort of a camper van kind of.
Yeah, it was our first Shepherd's Hut experience. That was lovely. That was lush.
Absolutely love that. Again, I'll put the sort of the links on here for all of our listeners just so they can have a look at some of these places. But you stayed in some pretty cool places, actually. You did okay, hey? What was your favorite place to stay in the UK?
Ooh. Okay, I'm not gonna say who. I might say, are we talking hotel or just?
Yeah, just your favorite place to stay. I mean, however you want to interpret it. Go on.
Okay. This is gonna be. I mean, it's easy when it comes to the hotel because it was Cliveden in Berkshire.
Yeah.
So I stayed in Cliveden. That was when I said to you, Croatia didn't work. So basically, we took all our money and went to basically spend it, luxury vibes. And we stayed in Cliveden for, I think it was 3 or 4 days. And yeah, that was like such an epic
Really?
stay. We didn't even do much. Like we just stayed on the grounds. We didn't go to any. We didn't like explore Berkshire or anything. But we rented the boats, and we got like a really lovely skipper who took us around the Thames, just around there as well. And Cleveland is just beautiful. Like the grounds are so bougie and beautiful, and there's a lot of history, like scandal. Like a typical UK. Back. I feel like every UK institution has some sort of scandal history.
There's always a backstory.
Everything, yeah. And Cleveland gives you everything, and the staff just amazing. It was a very, very lovely. I think that was the first experience I had in the UK, and I thought, wow, and I understand people wouldn't want to spend that kind of money in the UK because obviously you rather take that money and go somewhere else and have the sun, sea, and sand and all of that. But I just like everyone. I've told so many people to go to Cleveland, and in fact, Cleveland messaged me one time. They said to me, "Oh, this person said to us, I keep like sending people there. When people ask me where, go to Cleveland, go there. Trust me." You have the money, go there.
This is another one I'm going to be looking up now.
Yeah, Cleveland. Honestly, it's just, It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Disclaimer, I worked with them a few months ago, obviously on the back of.
That's okay.
Yeah, I stayed with them, my own money last year, and I sent a lot of people there, and they're like, you know what? We want to work with you. Come on.
I love it. What about outside of the UK? Favorite place to stay or hotel outside of the UK?
Outside of the UK. I would say I will take you back to my honeymoon. So we stayed in Sandals in St. Lucia. I don't know if you know the Sandals tree. Yeah. And at the time, it wasn't I feel like now in the UK is sort of clocking onto Sandals. Then Sandals was a very American thing. It was very American. And I think it was such an epic stay for us because my husband and I, we literally just started working. We were in it's not like now we don't have to scrape all the money in our account to go somewhere epic. So that was such a big trip for us. And we went to Sandals for 10 days in St. Lucia. And I keep saying to him, I don't think we're going to ever have this sort of experience again. Like it was just beautiful. We stayed in one of their like luxury, I think it was the honeymoon suite, I want to say, and we had like a butler.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god! What's that like?
It was just bizarre to me because like you're sat there and someone comes to you and it's like, oh, do you want a drink? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm gonna turn. You know that thing where when you're about to sleep, someone comes.
Oh, the turn down service.
Yeah, I can actually turn down my duvet. I can do this myself.
It's always so embarrassing though when they come around and you're in the room and there's the knock on the door and it's like with a turn down team. And I remember the first time and I was thinking, the what? The turn down team, sir. I'm like, what?
And they'll put like a little flower on my pillow and little chocolates and stuff like that. Oh my God. And then obviously when you think about it, this was 2014. And then I had never had that sort of experience before. I'd never stayed in any place quite so luxurious. Anywhere I had stayed was maybe with my parents who pay for stuff. And we, the kids, wouldn't stay in, mommy and daddy's fancy. We'll probably just get like a nice room and stuff like that. So this was like a different thing. It was like nothing I had ever, like, my husband was like, what is happening? We'd wake up and we'd have a menu slipped under the door. Do you want us to bring breakfast to your room? What are you having for lunch? What are you having for dinner? There's drinks, and it was obviously free drinks. It was just a different experience. I don't know if I'm ever going to have that experience again, but it was just lovely.
Oh, I've got a feeling that you probably will. Although some of it obviously is you were on honeymoon. I mean that's exactly. Always going to be sort of very, very special. Just on that, obviously you travel apart from Jersey, you travel all the time with your husband, and I love this whole notion of the romance of travel, actually. And I'm saying this from somebody who's done the vast majority of my traveling, sadly, on my own without my wife. And the amount of times I'm always thinking, oh my gosh, I need to come back here with my wife. And that list is just getting longer and longer as well. But I'm curious as to, how much involvement does your husband play in the sort of the planning of where you go and all of that kind of stuff? Does he get told where you're going, or is he part of that process?
I think because we're very similar. So we're quite similar in terms of the way we love to travel. We're not big on adventure. Like, you're not going to see me hiking, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see me dropping off a plane and stuff like that. We're quite relaxed in our travel. If there's a boat, for example, we're probably going to rent a boat. So we sort of like the same things,
Yeah.
The only difference I would say is he loves America. Like, he loves going to the US, while I'm very, very European. I love my, Italy, France, Greece. I'm that kind of travel person. So it's always the balance. I feel like I always say to him, okay, where do you want to go this year? Is there somewhere you want to go this year? And then we sort of plan from that. But to be honest, I feel like I always know where he wants to go anyway, because we always talk about, oh, this would be really nice if we went here. It would be really, stuff like that. And then because I'm more of the planner anyway, like regardless of travel, just in our general day to day, I'm more of the planner. I would usually plan every trip. We have like a joint account in terms of like, where money comes out for like travel and stuff like that. So I would just plan every trip, and I'll sort of run it by him. Do you think this is too expensive? Do you think this actually makes sense?
Yeah.
We're getting a room with blah, blah, blah. What do you think? So I would like to say I plan everything with his input on the side.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. That's the same. That's the same with my wife. When we do have a holiday, she does the planning. She'll have a spreadsheet set up with the costs, and she loves a spreadsheet. She's known as Spreadsheet Sarah in our house. But she'll have the spreadsheet done up, and then she'll sort of put it to the rest of us and say, look, these are the options I think that are realistic. Mm-hmm. Have a click on them, see what you think, and then we kind of choose it from there. But she's probably the one that does the planning. But like you say, but with our input, so I kind of get that. I think I kind of get that.
I won't go somewhere he doesn't want to go, for example, because I probably won't like it anyway, because I feel like for us, travel is both of us being present.
Yep.
So if it's something he's not really too keen on, I'll just like, okay, we'll do that later. And then, I'll probably think of doing with my friends or something.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation here. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic is over. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. The world is back to normal. Mm-hmm. And I've just given you personally £50,000. That's your budget. You can go anywhere on your next trip. Where's your dream trip?
Okay, that's a lot of money. First, just because I'm a finance girl.
Here we go.
I'm gonna split that.
She's gonna ask, "Where's the money come from here, Jed? Because you haven't got that kind of money."
I'm not gonna bring in my. Let's just not talk about where the money has come from, because I shouldn't even be getting that kind of money.
You don't want to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna split it first of all, just so I don't go crazy. And then I most likely will go. I'll probably do like maybe Bora Bora, Fiji. Yeah, so places that I honestly feel like places like that. It's I find that they're so expensive. First of all, like they're really expensive to go to, and you're basically just staying on an island. It's not like you're really sightseeing or anything. So I feel like that's where that sort of money should go towards things like that. So places like that where you just probably go to somewhere and do nothing, and it's just beautiful, and you just wake up every day and you see the same beautiful blue and green. So I'd definitely go Bora Bora or Fiji. I was gonna say the Maldives, but I feel like the Maldives is doable now. It's not like before. I feel like before the Maldives was very mythical, but now it feels possible to go to the Maldives.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that would be Bora Bora, Fiji. I was gonna add Australia, but then I'm thinking of the creepy crawlies, so no Australia for now. But now, until I understand what's going on with the creepy crawlies happening there. I saw a creepy crawly the other day on a photo on Twitter. it was like a shop in Australia, and I was like, okay. Mm-mm. So yeah, Fiji or Bora Bora. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you get the 50 grand.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting now because you've made me start dreaming. So
Tremendous. Without the 50 grand, where's next for you, travel wise?
Okay, so no 50 grand. So it's not really happening.
While you're waiting for the 50 grand, shall we say?
Okay, yeah, we're going to Greece
Oh, lovely.
Well, yeah, so we're gonna go for my birthday is on Sunday, so we're just gonna go to Greece for a few days. Yeah, I hope it's nice anyway. I hope it's not too busy because obviously this is like peak summer.
Yeah.
But we're going to a smaller island, Paris. So I'm hoping it's not as popular as the Mykonoses and the Santorinis. So we're going to spend most of our time in Paris and then spend 2 days in Mykonos on our way back because we fly back from Mykonos. So
Lovely.
yeah.
Sounds perfect to me. Well, we are pretty much out of time. It's just been a wonderful conversation. I feel like I could speak to you for hours, to be honest, and we've had quite a good laugh as well, which has been great. Before you go though, at Low Season Traveller, obviously we focus on low seasons, and we focus on responsible, sustainable, ethical tourism with genuine people like yourself. And it's just a question that we've asked everybody in this series. What does responsible travel mean to you, and how do you think we can all be more responsible and sustainable as travelers ourselves, do you think?
I always feel like it's such a weird one because obviously you're flying, so it's very difficult to say, don't fly. I know a lot of my friends offset their flights now. It's something I actually want to look into, especially when I start to do longer flights. I feel like now I'm doing a lot of short flights. I don't really know what that means in terms of offsetting, but it's definitely something I want to look into. I think for me, responsible travel is, I'll be honest, as a travel blogger, there's that thing where you really want to visit everywhere. So, I think there's a very big notion around how many countries you're going to. So I know there was something that was very popular before the pandemic, 1-day trips. You would go to Milan and spend a day in Milan. So you're flying to Milan in the morning, spend the day in Milan and fly back, just so you've been to Italy. And I feel like that's such an irresponsible way of travel. And I understand, you don't want to judge people, but I just feel like, what's the reason? Like, why are you, for me, it takes away from the fact that you actually love to travel. It's no longer about your passion. Is more like counting. It's like, oh, I've gone to Italy, I've gone to this country, I've gone to that country, I spent 1 day here. That's not, it takes away from what travel is. On the other hand, just so that this is sort of a balanced conversation, I feel like travel is what you make of it. If that's your way of travel, is if 1-day trips to different countries is what you make of travel, fair play to you. I also feel like responsible travel is working a lot with people that actually live in the country or city you're visiting. If you're going to somewhere where you can definitely buy or help the economy there, that should be what you're looking at. I try to stay away from chain hotels now where the money is going to this big conglomerate in maybe the UK or US, for example, but you're going to Mexico. So is that starting to look more into local brands, look more into local taxis. If you're going there, maybe try not use Uber, maybe try to use a guide who actually is from Mexico, for example. It was something we did when we went to Mexico. We basically made sure our guide was a Mayan guide, and he explained how important it was for us to work with him over working with the big names. So I think those are like the little ways I've sort of started to change my travel to be a bit more responsible. I obviously don't have all the answers. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say
who does.
I know. Yeah, I'm not going to say I know. I'm learning from a lot of sustainable travelers. How can I be a little bit more responsible? instead of carrying my bottle, instead of buying a bottle of water every time, I now have a little like flask thing, a little bottle thing that I just carry with me and refill. It's funny because every shop you go into will actually refill your bottle for free most times you're abroad. So it's something I learned as well. So yeah, I think it's just little things like that. If you can drive. And also the notion of travel being outside your country. I feel like that's also a very irresponsible way of looking at travel. If you open the dictionary, travel is literally movement, is literally moving from somewhere to somewhere else. So if we're trying to be responsible travelers, the fact that you're going to Kent or you're going to Surrey should not be that much of a difference in terms of what you're experiencing, whatever culture you're looking for, or whatever food. Okay, let's take it from the UK because I feel like the UK is quite. Everybody's going to argue about culture in the UK. So let's take it to somewhere like Scotland, for example, or Ireland. These are places that are very rich. Sorry, I'm taking it away from England, not the UK. So Scotland, Ireland, Wales. So these are places you can sort of encourage people to also check out. And also revisiting country, revisiting cities. I understand the excitement to go somewhere new every time. I also feel like being responsible with travel is you love somewhere, it doesn't mean that you can't go there again. So it takes me back to you counting, I'm going to go to 500 countries. I'm going to go. And that's why I hate, this thing where they do 30 before 30 or 20 before 20. I don't like that because there's just such a pressure to hit a certain number of countries, except you're doing it for Guinness Book of Records. I mean, that's different. You're trying to achieve something. Well, I feel like as a responsible traveler, one more point. I've spoken too much. One more point. I also feel like low season is quite a good time for responsible travel. As much as, it's cheaper because that's what you want. You want to get the best deals, when you're traveling. I also feel like it's a bit more responsible when, it's not I feel all these countries where they rely heavily on tourism, they just have specific periods when there's so much money pumped in. It would be nice if it's sort of balanced, throughout the year, where even if it's not summertime, there's still some sort of activity going on. So it's something I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to stay more in the UK during the summer and then travel more shoulder months hopefully I'll do better. I'm not the best when it comes to that, to be honest. But,
you know what, Bugo? I think we're all learning it. On this whole, responsible tourism, sustainable tourism, ethical tourism. I figure that is a journey as well, and we're all on that journey, and we're all learning. And for me, if the only thing you do is try and take one less flight, or like you were saying about the water bottles, that's okay. That's good. That's, good. Good should not be the enemy of perfect. We shouldn't feel a pressure to be absolutely perfect sustainable travelers. You can roughly aim for that, but it's okay to do your best and to do some good. And I think that's absolutely fine. But I think sometimes we kind of beat ourselves up at times as well for what we haven't done, and maybe sometimes we need to give ourselves a pat on the back for some of the good stuff we do, like traveling around the UK in the summertime here and going off at other times of the year. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I love the fact that you did a little plug for low seasons there, which I think is awesome. Everyone will think I asked you to say that. I didn't. I promise.
You paid me 50 grand.
Exactly. Yeah, the check's in the post, but I'd cash it quickly. Hey, Bugo, that is all we've got time for, unfortunately. I want to thank you so much for giving us your time, for learning a little bit more about what you do, how you do it, and some of your amazing travels. And thanks for the really fun conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it. So thanks to you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure, to be fair. I've had such a long day and I was like, oh my God, I need to get ready for this. So I'm glad it actually went quite well. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Bugo. Take good care.
Take care. Bye.
Huge thanks again there to Bugo. And you know what? If we could give Bugo 50 grand, I am absolutely sure that she would know exactly how to enjoy it. So before I go booking my Paris and Scottish Highland trips, I have to say that it was an absolute delight speaking with Bugo this week. If you're inspired to learn more about life with Bugo, please do follow her on Instagram, Pinterest and Twitter, and also check out her website at lifewithbugo.com. And of course, you can find more info about Bugo on the Low Season Traveller website under the Influencer Series heading. But that's a wrap for this week. Please do join us next week though for episode 5 of the Influencer Series, where we catch up with a true artist. Our guest next week has truly made her feeds into an art form, as she travels endlessly around the world. With millions of viewers and hundreds of thousands of followers, it was really easy to understand why she's so popular when we spoke with her. If destinations like Death Valley, Yosemite, Colorado, Puerto Rico, Bryce Canyon and Montana get your blood pumping, then you will not want to miss this one. And finally, if you're enjoying the series, please do leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. And if you've got any questions for our guests or indeed any feedback, please do send them directly to me at jed@lowseasontraveller.com. Until then though, take good care, stay healthy, stay safe, keep your travel dreams alive, and remember that travel is always better without the crowds.